Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, if you are listening to the sound of my voice, then you're tuned in for another episode of Marking Out Amongst Friends, the podcast. You know me, it's your boy Jay Riddy in the building. And you know if you're listening to my voice, you know that I got my compadres, my amigos, my partners in the building. Of course, we know I'm talking about Lady Great One.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing tonight?
And then on my other side, you know I always got Mr. VIP with me. We travel VIP everywhere we go. Holla at him.
It's Mr. VIP. How's everybody doing tonight?
I don't know about everybody else, but I know one damn thing. We live. Of course, tonight we got a jam-packed show for you. First of all, we're going to talk about every WWE slash wrestling fans' favorite topic about WWE, NXT, the quote-unquote A show. Also, we're going to bring a little more love to the women's division. We're going to talk about some of the upcoming rumors slash big plans that they have for the women's division. But as for right now, the only thing I got to say is hit our damn music. All right. You know what? I love that music, man. Like, I think this was like what the first season was missing. Definitely the theme song. I know I'm already a little bit off topic. We ain't even started the damn show there. That already shows you how it's going to go. I know on the post we told y'all we was going to go live at 7:25. What I didn't tell you is that I meant 7:25 CP time. Not. Anyway, let's get on into the show. First of all, I want to jump into our first topic. Like I said, we're going to discuss some NXT. The only question that I really have, because everybody loves NXT, I've really not heard anybody ever say anything negative about NXT, such as they do in the main roster. Even for the casual fan, for the every week watcher, you know, for the person who can't miss a beat, everybody always has positive things to say. So my question to you guys today, what makes NXT so damn good?
For me, I think it's more the format. It's not as long or as time consuming as the other two shows are. I mean, by the time you sit through 3 hours of Raw, then 2 hours of SmackDown, then you also have NXT UK on Wednesday, followed like a couple hours later by 205 Live, followed by regular NXT, you burn out. So that 1 hour format really, really helps. And that's not counting if you watch any of the behind the scenes stuff, the Raw pre-show, or any of the other things that go on as well week after week. Mixed Match Challenge is another thing that's going on right now. So I think that that's why NXT works so much better, because it's 1 hour, it's condensed, it's mainly nothing but action. There's a bunch of faces that people want to see. There's a lot of things that are just a lot more fast paced, and there's less of the comedy and unnecessary storylines that sometimes Raw provides. And there's actually legitimate tag teams that Raw does definitely not provide. So that's why, in my opinion, NXT has been considered the A show.
Yeah. In my opinion, like you said, it's the format. They have better matches. They have better match quality and better feuds. The storylines are a lot better. They have where you have not as much comedy to where it's overboard, where you're sitting there for like 20 minutes waiting or watching them do some stupid gimmick, or watching something in the back, or watching them pee on a robe or something like that. It's just, they come out there, they talk, and then they wrestle. And it's more of an old school feel with new school wrestling. It's not all the extra hoopla, not all the extra stuff that goes on Raw, especially, and sometimes SmackDown. But it's just, you may see a cut scene in the back where somebody cuts a promo, and then here comes the match. And then even if there's some outside interference for just that one time, and it goes on to the next match. And then you have a couple matches with no outside interference, no just overshooting, everything like what's going on with Raw with the Baron Corbin thing. It's not all that extra stuff. It's just great matches, great heels, great faces, and it's just a better quality show than the other two right now.
Okay. I think for me personally, and I'm not the extreme, fan that watches, everything every time it comes on, like your New Japan's, your Ring of Honors, even the Raw weekly shows. I think for me, like you said, I'm going to agree with everybody else, it's just the condensed, they're great. NXT is great and it's condensed. And I think that in a world where the WWE is trying to capitalize on as much money as they can with everything else, NXT is so protected, and I do like that. Initially, I was one of those guys that, would preach and say, hey, make NXT live every week, put it on network television, make it its own show, if not part of another show. But, I think that everything that goes into it does make it what it is. Like you said, it's formatted to less than an hour. All of the shows are pre-recorded. The roster is not as huge as, a Raw brand or a SmackDown brand. So you're not trying to constantly get stuck trying to put TV time on for every person that is on the roster. Usually on NXT, you got, 3 or 4 good heels, 3 or 4 good faces. Everybody's involved in some type of storyline, one-on-one. And when the pay-per-views come, you get 5 matches. And I think that format leaves little room for error with that. Of course, every person that likes NXT is going to say wrestling, the wrestling is better, and things like that. But I really think that it's all of those factors that go into it that help contribute to it being a great show. Honestly, go ahead.
I was going to say, one thing I like that NXT does, you don't see everybody on every show.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see so many people on this show, and then they'll be like, okay, the next show, this person is coming. So they'll say next week, Dakota Kai is going to wrestle, but she wasn't on this show. And then, so it'll build, you're like, oh, I can't wait to see next week because she's going to be on there. And then she's going to be on there, but somebody else that was on that last show isn't on the next one. So it always builds anticipation for the next episode. It'll say next week, these two are fighting. And you're like, oh, I can't wait to see these two. And, you're waiting for these people instead of they come out every week and you get tired of seeing them because they're not doing that with them. You like the Street Profits. It may be a couple weeks and you won't see them. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, when they come out, you're like, oh, shoot, they finally came, good to see them back or whatever. And even if that storyline that they're in doesn't go to the pay-per-view, they still got a storyline going on the show. And so it doesn't have everybody come out every single week, and then you get tired of seeing them because they're not doing nothing with them, and it's just the same people over and over and over again. It makes you want to see this person because this person is coming out next week or 2 weeks from now. They're going to have this big match. You're like, oh, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that as well. And even to go a little step further, I think that part of one of the things that make that whole situation great as well is that there's no head and shoulders franchise guy in NXT. Like the franchise guy on SmackDown, everybody knows is AJ Styles. Even with the return of Daniel Bryan, even with all of the other stars that they got, we know that the guy who's the franchise, the face of the franchise, is AJ Styles. Before he got hurt, everybody knew that the face of Raw was Roman Reigns. With Roman Reigns being gone, everybody knows that the every week face of Raw now is going to be Seth Rollins, so to speak. But NXT, even with guys like Tommaso Ciampa, with guys like Johnny Gargano, with guys like Aleister Black, with the Velveteen Dream, all of them get to individually showcase their greatness constantly. All of them are big match guys, and none of them are like the franchise guy that, we got to make time for this person every week, so to speak.
And NXT builds builds a following more, not just because the person was on the independents or something and they knew him for another federation. Like the Velveteen Dream, they make him, the fans are making him a star. They're building, like with Bailey. Nobody knew her before, but she just got, so much love from the crowd that, they came up with the little hey, we want some Bailey. They came up with different stuff. So it's like they're making their own stars and making people fall in love with them from the ground up, and not just using people from independents. I mean, everybody knew who Tommaso Ciampa was, but to see him go against the Velveteen Dream and see the crowd response to the Velveteen Dream is amazing, and he, basically earned it. It wasn't like he wasn't shoved down your throat. It wasn't like he was overly pushed. It was like, we like him because the little stuff he's doing, and it doesn't feel like he's forced on you. It just feels like, oh, we made him because we love him. And that's what a lot of their people, NXT is just it feels like more like the fans are making the stars, and not like it's not like WF is just trying to, okay, this is who you're gonna like this person, and we're gonna keep making you like this person. You're generally just, I like this guy, I really like this girl, and even if they're bad or good, I just like this about this person, and then he or she just starts getting a following, and it's just build and build.
I can agree with some of that. I think that I don't know about the whole main roster thing as far as them trying to make you like certain people more to step. I mean, I guess you can say that they do a lot of early pushing on the main roster, and I think that that's one of the problems with the main roster is like when you get somebody that goes to the main roster, like in all actuality, we're not supposed to know who these people are. It's just because of other promotions and because of, such the following around NXT is like we know who these guys are. But technically, back in the day, like when somebody debuted on the main roster in WWE, you weren't supposed to know who they were. You were supposed to get that chance to build a rapport with that wrestler and give them a chance to, be built up to say, this guy is over and blah, blah, blah. Now guys come in with the following built with their name already. And I think that when they don't get the push on the main roster that a lot of the people who have been following them for years want, then they blame the WWE. Oh, like blah 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 blah. You're not developing. Y'all don't know how to write. When all actuality, coming in with a fan base and a following on your own already makes it harder for you to go through the normal rapport process in WWE because it causes such a struggle with the avid fan versus the not avid fan, so to speak. Perfect example that I'll give is somebody like Cassius Ohno. Cassius Ohno has been out for years, wrestling for years on the independent scene. Huge name. He was already in WWE once before. Of course, you know, everybody knows of the tag team that him and Cesaro had way back in the day before Cesaro got big. Now you compare him to somebody like, you know, Cesaro. Okay? Cesaro came in with that built-in following just like Ono did, but everybody was always boosting up Ono. And Cesaro was that guy who came in and got to develop a little bit more. He started off as, you know, mid-carder. They put him with, gosh, I can't even remember what was the chick's name? Oksana? Was that who she was back in the day?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, they put him with Oksana. They had him build his own character with the U.S. title where he was going around, you know, boasting, you know, the city. He was, you know, American-made, things like that. Like, it was a lot of development, and it made you really kind of build a rapport and get behind Cesaro, and to the point where now you see the Cesaro section, you know, every arena that they go to, city to city. But with Ono more so, it's like he didn't get the same rapport both times that he was in WWE. I mean, honestly, he didn't have the appealing look. He's overweight, and really, his character is not really. He doesn't really have a big character. I mean, he's just a guy that strikes. You know, he's a hard hitter. You know, he's a striking, you know, expert. But outside of that, what do you get from Ono? So if you don't have much of that to build on, can you really blame the WWE for saying, "Hey, they dropped the ball with Ono"? You know, did they drop the ball with Ono, or did Ono drop the ball with himself?
Yeah, the thing about Ono is he's too out of shape. And if you looked at him before he left in NXT, he was more in shape. You know, he was
let me just say why you're saying that. None of us on this podcast are in shape. So we are not shaming.
Oh yeah.
No,
definitely
we're just
not.
saying what the general public is going to
Hey, I'm swerves and curves.
We'll see.
Hey, I'm swerves and curves. I'm supposed to be that way.
I mean, I'm fat and more.
We'll see. The thing is, especially I've been listening to some podcasts of Bruce Pritchard, and you get to hear a lot of how Vince thinks. And for someone like Ono, like he's gonna just think he's a fat slob. It's just Vince won't see him as, you know, he's talented, and it's the difference between, you know, how Vince sees people and what kind of people he likes, and how Triple H sees people and the people he likes. You know, Ono, unless he loses weight and gets into a better shape, he ain't got to be cut, but at least lose the guts on him. He's not going to do well, or he's not going to make it onto the main roster. He's just not. He's not. He doesn't. I mean, even every time I see him, I'm still like, I know how good he is, but his look is just. I mean, to see him coming out there with a shirt, and he doesn't look like Kevin Owens. Like Kevin Owens is a big guy, but it looks like he's at least in shape.
He looks like a badass.
Yeah, but KO just Cassius, he just looks like he's a sloppy big guy. You know, he's not like he's. It's just like he's just got off the couch and said, "I'm gonna go wrestle somebody." It's just his look is not. He's a great wrestler. He's a great high flyer. He can talk. All that is great, but his look is gonna always hold him back. And unless he loses the weight and stuff, it's not gonna work.
And the custom-made football jerseys are not really helping for me either. I don't like that. It's tacky.
It would be okay, but when you start wrestling in it, it just doesn't work. You know, if he walked to the ring and he took it off, that would be fine. But you know that he's just wearing it because he's covering up his weight. I mean, he like I said, he just looks like he's just a sloppy, you know, big guy. It doesn't look like he's, you know, in any kind of shape at all. You know, Kevin Owens is losing weight, so Kevin Owens doesn't look like some big slob. He's big, but he's more tight. Same thing with Bray Wyatt.
Pause.
He's a,
Definitely pause on that moment.
Hey, round is a shape, okay? Round is a shape.
Round is a shape, but it's just, with Cassius, I don't know, he's just one of those guys who, you don't know if he's coming to wrestle or to play 21. It's like, hey.
He's more of a player. He just looks sloppy to me. And like I said, on the main roster, that's never going to work. If he loses the stomach, if he tones up, then he may do better. But with people like KO, Kevin Owens on the main roster and stuff, I'm like, what is the purpose? You already have somebody that's big, but but he's in better shape. But I think he's gonna be stuck to NXT, or he's just down there to help a lot of the young guys get better.
Yeah, I think that he's right now in that role of just being like the NXT resident jobber, pretty much what they used to do with CJ Parker, so to speak. So, I mean, yeah, I see, it really, he's a talented guy. Nobody's saying he's not talented, but Cassius Ohno's talent is one of the few cases where his talent is not good enough to overshadow the character and the image, so to speak. And really, I didn't want to turn into a whole roasting fest. It was kind of fun. I'm not a hater of Cassius Ohno. Like I said, he's very talented. But, he's just one example that I like to use of, folks that were given a lot of time to build a rapport, but, one was successful, the other one wasn't successful, so to speak. So when we start getting into, the whole NXT versus main roster thing, that's my only difference. Like, as a matter of fact, one of the things that I say all the time is that we watch WWE wrestling because we've watched it so many years. We watch it and we kind of play fantasy booking, so to speak, with the main roster. We're always upset who's getting pushed, who's not getting pushed, who's champion, who's not champion, who's on TV, who's not on TV, who wins, who loses, And it's like with that, we put so much into politics that we can't even enjoy, the show for what it is. But when we watch New Japan, when we watch NXT, when we watch Ring of Honor or any of these other, promotions, you don't have the same years built into those promotions of watching as that you do with the WWE. So you have a little more, you have less of a choice. You have no choice pretty much but to sit back and watch those shows and say, all right, let me see what I like about this guy or what I don't like about this guy. Let me see what I like about this other guy and what I don't like about this other guy. And in WWE, it's like in 2 weeks, if the guy is not on the path to a world title, you're saying that the WWE can't write. They can't write everybody up world title into the picture. They can't write everybody into the main event. Like we said last week, this is the most talented roster that they've ever had. So it's just like, it's going to be hard to try to write around all of that for 3 different shows.
Yeah, they have too much. They have so much talent that not everybody's going to be on top at the same time. And I think with the main roster, the main problem is everybody remembers the Attitude Era. Mm-hmm. Everybody remembers what happened before. So everything that happens now is always compared to how great it was back then. Mm-hmm. And so they were like, why ain't this as good as this person? Why ain't they doing this like they did back then? And it's always compared to something. NXT, they're not really comparing it to anything. Mm-hmm. It's just NXT. Mm-hmm. But Raw was like, I remember a couple of years ago, Raw was amazing. I remember when Stone Cold was there, it was amazing. And you always comparing it to, stuff like this. We don't have nobody like Stone Cold. There's nobody like Rock anymore. And, everybody that we see that tries to get big, they're not like this person. They're not as good as this person. They can't do this like this. And You comparing it instead of just watching, liking. You know, there's going to be some stuff that's not as good, but there's a lot of stuff that is good. But no matter what, you're always chopping it down. You know, if they're with Dean Ambrose, I remember when it was building to this whole storyline of him breaking up with the Shield, and I'm like, okay, they're building the story, and everybody, I'm looking at people saying, they need to hurry up and go on and make him turn, and I'm like, they're building a story. Not everything has to be instant. You're waiting to build something. And then, unfortunately, what happened with Roman Reigns, then when he does turn, you're like, oh, my God, I never would have expected him to turn now. So instead of trying to rush stuff, they're trying to build stuff. And that's a thing they used to do back in the day. Give little subtle hints before, just having somebody turn. And, but like I said, you're always comparing it to something else, so it never can be as good. Nothing's going to be as good as when Stone Cold was there. Nothing's going to be good as when Macho Man and Hulk Hogan was there.
Nope.
So nobody's going to, you put it on such a high pedestal, how are they going to compete with that? Just watch what they're doing and like what they're doing. I mean, Drew McIntyre is amazing. Braun Strowman is amazing. They have talent, but you always got to compare it to somebody else or something else that's going on. And enjoy what they're trying to do.
But I mean, on top of that, like one of the things that you also notice, like NXT has been around long enough now where probably 50% of the roster, at least 50% of the roster, if not more, are NXT alum. Or guys who used to be on NXT, guys who used to be NXT champions, so to speak. So it's just like, it goes to show you it's not just the talent difference. It's not a storyline per se all the time. It goes because it's a different fan base on the main roster as well. Like you got kids, you got women and children basically who you're trying to appeal to. You also got the avid fan. You got the casual person who might tune in every now and then, or who might remember the Attitude Era or the Golden Era and say, I remember when I used to watch WWE. Let me watch this. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the people that you're really more so trying to appeal to on the main roster rather than I travel from city to city and buy all of this merch and blah, 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 type of deal. So it's a different fan base that you're really trying to appeal to, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of people don't really understand, so to speak.
Yeah. Because they're trying to, like you said, they're trying to appeal to everyone and not just a certain group of people. And it's hard to try to appeal to everyone because not everybody's going to be happy. Trying to appeal to kids, well, why ain't they more edgy? Trying to appeal to women, well, why they got, why is he on top? Trying to appeal to guys, well, why is she on top? It's you can't appeal to everybody. They're trying to have a broad spectrum so that everybody has something they like. But it's hard to do that. NXT make it feel like it's, your home. It's a small federation. It's usually in the same place, so they got their own little thing. It's kind of like it was back in the day with the territory, and you got your hometown hero, your hometown this, and it's kind of hard. But I think people criticize it too much instead of, like you said, try to enjoy it. There are good things. There's sometimes it's bad, but sometimes they surprise us and have great shows or great characters or great storylines. But there's always somebody got to hate on it. Why ain't they do like this? Dean Ambrose turned bad, and people are saying, well, he didn't turn bad like he was bad before.
Like, oh my goodness, he's using cheap heel tactics to draw heat. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, we're arguing about this right now? Like, hey, we're really arguing about this?
I saw that same post. Post.
You wanted him to turn bad, but now he didn't turn bad the way you wanted him to turn bad. So now he's not bad like the right way. But he's saying stupid stuff. Well, why is he coming out with that mask? He should have did it this way. Well, why is they doing this? Well, he should have said this. What the hell is he? What the hell is he gonna do?
And it's like, do you really think that Dean Ambrose does not have creative control over his character? I really wanted people to really think about it. Dean Ambrose, not like any other superstar on the roster. You know, guys like Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, do you really think they don't have creative control over their character? Do you think that the WWE writers wrote that and Dean Ambrose said, I don't like it, but I'm going to do it? That's a question.
That's a no for me, obviously, because I didn't say anything.
I'm like, you know, it's one thing when, you know, you have that comment about guys that are not really on, you know, TV much, or, you know, guys that aren't really high on the card. But Dean Ambrose is definitely one of those few people that probably have creative control over his character. He's not going to come out there and do something stupid, you know, and I don't know. I feel like that was just not really a valid argument to really have, you know, with him. It's like it's one of those prime examples. You know, Xavier Woods said that WWE fans are entitled crybabies. And I, for one, I agree, myself included. You know, it's like one of those situations where, you know, we're spoiled, we're entitled. We grew up watching Stone Cold, The Rock. You know, we grew up and watching, you know, Hogan and The Ultimate Warrior and Macho Man and Sting and Vader and
Can we
The Undertaker.
leave his name off of this podcast? I'm sorry. Can we please just stop referring to the Ultimate Warrior, please?
I'm just saying, you know, to put it in retrospect, we don't like Ultimate Warrior the person, just like we don't like Hogan the person. But we can't knock.
Hold on. Nobody said I don't like Hogan the person.
I don't like Hogan the person.
I don't like Ultimate Warrior. I like Hogan.
I don't like Hogan the person. He's a glory hog. He wouldn't push, you know, he wouldn't put a lot of people over. You know, he it's not even the N-word thing. It's just the worst that he's done. It's like I've never been a fan of Hulk Hogan.
He's done a lot more than what people think. A lot of stuff was said about him that he really didn't do. But like you said, but everybody has their favorites. And you watched it as a kid, you grew up with these people. So now, once you're adult, you know, nobody can compare to these people. Mm-hmm. And it's so much better. It's just like music and stuff. It's so much better back in the day. If you look at a lot of things, they did a lot of the stuff they're doing now. They did do it back then. Mm-hmm. It's just we saw it differently. Mm-hmm. You know, so I'm like people were saying, you know, stuff with Roman Reigns. They're pushing him down our throat. How many times you see Stone Cold come out? But like you know, they did the same stuff. They did it a lot more. We just didn't realize it as much back then. But
no. Hang on. I can tell you what it is with that right there. With people being pushed down your throat, is because we have this glorious thing called the internet, in which we're all allowed to sit back and be as cynical and as judgmental and as entitled, spoiled brats as we can, because we have this glorious thing called the internet. We can complain as much as we want or as little bit as we want. We can trash the product. We can go back and we can look at some of these things and we can look back in retrospect, because on the network, what do? You have all these classic shows. You can go back and you can watch a classic show from the Ruthless Aggression era, like slightly after the Attitude Era. How many times did you see, as you were saying before, how many times would you see Stone Cold in a night? How many times would you see John Cena in a night? Or how many times would you see Triple H, Edge, somebody in one night? 2, 3, 4. We weren't complaining about it. At least we don't think we were, because of the internet. Now everybody has a voice and nobody's voice is louder than the others.
Yeah, wrestling is the biggest, you know, everybody's a critic, you know, type thing. Like literally, when it comes to wrestling fans, literally everybody's a critic. But that's neither here or there. You know, we were really talking about NXT. We kind of got a little bit, you know, off topic, because we are really trying to praise the NXT in this instance. But I mean, you know what? Like I said, the format that they have is really what made it really a dope concept. Also, like you said, they really took time to build stars. You know, and the NXT, one of the biggest things that they did for me personally is they really bolstered the women's division completely to where I don't even think that we look at women's wrestling the same anymore, so to speak, because of
No.
NXT, because of your Sashas, because of your Baileys, you know, because of your Charlottes, you know, the classic, you know, matches that they had in NXT, and then for all of them to come into the main roster and just kind of take over the division, that in itself is one of the pride and joys that I have from NXT. Um,
NXT made women respected, not just eye candy.
Right. They made it respected and they made them loved. Like we have
Yeah.
literally grown men who are super fans of, you know, people like Charlotte, Sasha Banks. You know, we got grown men who are super fans of Bailey. You know, wearing the Bailey streamers, going around wearing the shirt, hugging folks, and it's okay. Like you look at it and it's like, man, yo, wrestling has really changed. Like this is dope. This is acceptable. Like we're walking around wearing women's shirts. Who would have been caught? What grown man would have been caught dead in the '90s rocking an Alundra Blaze shirt or rocking Alundra Blaze gear? You know, what man would be caught dead saying that my favorite wrestler is, you know, China, or guys going around with the oversized pants like Lita? You know what I'm saying? Like it's a different culture now, and I love it that NXT has really made that change in the women's wrestling.
They were able to make women changing from just being, sex symbols to being wrestlers. Instead of men just wanting to see them because they look good, they want to see them because they can wrestle. And they did a lot of. I mean, it's a hard work to make men want to see women wrestle, not just sit there and look pretty. But they made people to where, and then they showed it where, like, when a wrestler, like when they had Eva Marie come out and like, oh, she can't wrestle. I don't care. You made it to where even though she's fine as hell, we don't like her because she can't wrestle. We only want to see women that can wrestle. And that's a huge jump from just wanting to see women because they look good. Now we want them to wrestle, no matter how beautiful they are. We respect them enough to. We just want to see a match with them and see them tear down the house. And that's one thing, like you said, NXT did was make women respected for their wrestling ability, not just how they look.
Oh, of course, I'm going to agree on this one. Being the lone woman usually on this podcast, of course, I'm agreeing. Of course, I'm going to say that NXT did so much to boost the women's division. And then when these women just grabbed the reins and took off with it, and then that also opened up the door for other female superstars from other sports come in and try their hand at wrestling. You've got your Sonya Deville now. You've got your Shayna Baszler. You've got Jessamine Duke, and you've got Marina Shafir. Of course, the biggest one of all, you have Ronda Rousey, who kicked the door in and all of this. And everybody's like, okay, as you were saying before, you've got grown men walking up and down the streets wearing Ronda Rousey t-shirts. You've got them wearing, there's not too many Be Fearless running around, and there's not too many free modes unless it's a joke. No offense to the Bella Twins, but the Bella Twins did help in their own way. They may not be the actual great wrestlers that we have in, say, your Bailey or your Becky right now, or Asuka, especially for that matter, but they were in that transition period. And yes, they did help with the Bellalution. And then the things that they're doing now with the Total Divas and the Total Bellas. And they are bringing in the other audience, the women, into it, because without women fans, as we have stated in other shows before, they're the ones who actually usually go out and take their sons to go see wrestling. Or they at least drop them off to go see wrestling. And then, oh, okay, well, wait a minute, who's this guy? Oh, I remember these girls right here. They were on that TV show. I saw an ad for that show while I was watching such and such, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's who they are. Okay, so let me check them out. Let me see what this is about. And these other media outlets, and that's where the internet has become a great thing. And that's where these other shows that have been brought to you by WWE, this wouldn't have worked with men. No man would watch a reality show based on the lives of the men.
I don't know. I mean, it depends on what man you put in there. Like, if you just say the word man, it just sounds nasty. I'm like, I don't want to watch no show about no man. But, I mean, if it's a reality show and the characters are interesting from WWE, I might watch. But to your point, Total Divas does appeal to, you know, that girly girl, and that gives that person a chance to come watch the show and be a fan, you know, of everything else that they have to offer other than just the Bella. So I see what you're saying in that instance.
Okay, I need to stop and rewind myself, because there is a male that has his own reality show, and it's actually really funny, and that's the Miz and Mrs. I did completely forget about that because they're on a season break right now, but that is pretty daggone funny. So
it's great. It's full circle. He started out as a reality show, turned wrestler, turned champion, turned married to a hot French wife, back to reality television again. You know what I'm saying? It's
while wrestling.
While being married to a hot French wife. So,
who's a wrestler?
You know what I'm saying? Like, the Miz is living his best life. Like, that's the life that any wrestling fan would love to live. And, like, as a matter of fact, if I was to go out on a limb and say that if I wish I could be any wrestler in WWE right now, I'm going to say the Miz. Why not? Let me be the Miz.
What was his whole slogan? Be jealous.
Damn straight. You know? He said he's awesome, and that's some real life shit. He's awesome. His life is awesome.
He has proven it.
Give him a hoorah. You know what I'm saying?
So, I mean, I wasn't trying to like divert the conversation right back to the men, because there's a topic that I wanted to discuss with the women. Since we're already on the subject of it, I figure maybe I should go and introduce this, because, you know, I'm a woman.
Speak on it. So, you got the floor.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So there have been a lot of rumors as of late circulating around a possible women's tag team belts. And then there's also another rumor that just surfaced about possibility of bringing back Queen of the Ring tournament for a second Evolution pay-per-view. This article, I think it was just released today or yesterday. It hasn't been released very long, but I saw it, I read it, and I was like, ooh, we're going to possibly get a Queen of the Ring. That would be something I would love to see, because you could always put women from NXT as well as both Raw and SmackDown in that tournament and crown an inaugural Queen of the Ring, which was always a great tournament for the men. So now we can open up the door and do something like that for the women, and possibly make a new title for that. Maybe the Queen of the Ring gets something special perk, like she gets a #1 contendership for her respective title, or she could be the television champion, something that I would like to see tossed out there. Hello, television champs. If you're going to have like other champs, if you're going to possibly just do something like that, maybe a television champ for the men on Raw, possibly #1. Okay. Anyway, I'm not throwing hints there, but I kind of did. Or possibly an intercontinental women's champion, just something like that. I would like to see these tournaments and more of these specialty events involving the women more and more. The Mae Young Classic has proven how great it was and how much great female talent that there is out there. And I mean, if Queen of the Ring is a next step in the right direction towards having more specials featuring the women, I'm all on board with it. What do you guys feel about the situation?
I'm for it. I'm all for it. Matter of fact, I don't want to choose between both of them. Give me both of them. Both of them. You know, like the women's tag team titles has been something that's been talked about for years among fans, and the more as the women's revolution rolled in, it was something that it was out there, but always the general consensus was we don't have enough women, we don't have enough tag teams in the women's division, and now here in this kind of generation, you see more and more tag teams and alliances, and it's like this could really be a big possibility now. You know, you got guys like Tamina and Nia Jax representing the Samoan dynasty, the bloodline, if you will. You got Bayley and Sasha that have been, on television as a tandem for months. You know, you got the Iconics. And of course, you can put any combination of the, UFC fighters or any combination of the four horsewomen together, and that can be a tag team. And then you always got the Bellas as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of tag teams. The only thing that I would say is if you do make a tag team division for women, and you do make tag team belts, that I think that it should not be a per show thing. I think that if you're going to do that, you should make it a every show thing.
Co-branded.
I was looking that you gave it to me. I was looking for that word and I could not think of it. It should be co-branded. It should be a title that if it's not going to be defended at every pay-per-view, defend it on any show. It can be defended on SmackDown. You can defend the belts on Raw. You know what I'm saying? I think that it would just do a lot to kind of bolster that division, and it'll give a lot of time to those teams that might have some people who you really don't know what to do anything with, so to speak. And it'll give them some shine without them having to be in the women's title picture in order to get that shine. You feel me? So yeah, I'm definitely for that. And then for the Queen of the Ring tournament, I want the King of the Ring tournament back. So damn well I want the Queen of the Ring tournament. If that's something they talk about, let's do it. Another one where I want to say the people that you put into that tournament should not be just relegated to one show. And I think that what you should do is bring some of the best from both shows, put them in the tournament, and give people some surprise matchups.
I say NXT as well.
Hell yes, do that.
I say NXT.
Throw NXT in there as well, and throw some matchups out there that's not going to be, predictable heel versus face matches. The heel that's getting a push right now versus the face that everybody likes but it's not really getting a push, or the vice versa, the face that's getting a huge push versus the heel that is not so much on the card. It makes that so much predictable. Give us some face versus face or heel versus heel matches to where we really aren't going to really know who's going to come out the victor in this match. And have it leading up to the championship match. Give us a surprise winner, like somebody who hasn't really been in the main event picture for women, or if they have, maybe it's been a long time since they've been in that picture. I could see somebody like Sasha Banks winning the Queen of the Ring tournament. I know you used to.
I was gonna on the limb and say Mandy Rose.
God, I wish people would stop wanting to push Mandy Rose so fast. I'm not a fan, but that's neither here nor there.
Hey, that's not coming from me as Mr. VIP.
Yes. But like you said, I am, 100% yes. If they want to do a tag team, right now, anything they do with the women, I'm loving it. And they've proven that they are able to do it. I mean, no matter how much criticism and all the stuff they said about the pay-per-view, all women pay-per-view, it was great. It was a great pay-per-view, and it was really, for you to be able to watch a whole pay-per-view with just women and you were just blown away match after match. It was exciting. It was different. They need to do a secondary belt, tag team or smaller singles, something to where, the women have more than just the main two belts. Women are just going one-on-one with just that one person. To incorporate more than just a couple people. And like you said, the King of the Ring, the woman, Queen of the Ring, yes, have a big tournament. Like you said, all the women from all three federations, put them all in, and then maybe the last four fight at the women's pay-per-view to crown the Queen of the Ring, and have somebody, like you said, somebody that's still trying to make it. It kind of be like the Stone Cold. Let this be their breakout. Their breakout at this time. Sonya Deville. I'm wanting them to do something with her. Anybody from NXT, Bianca Belair. There's so many talented women that are there that could do the tag team or do the Queen of the Ring. And the fact that they used to have a tag team women's title way back in the day, and the fact that Sasha and Bayley actually said it on TV about talking about a tag team belt. If you're not gonna you keep having these people do tag matches, what's the purpose if there's not a title to go with it? And then with them starting the 4 horsewomen MMA, the 4 horsewomen WWE, we're building to so much more stuff. Like a lot of people saying about, women main event in WrestleMania. It is now not that hard to see that we may be able to see it. I mean, women are getting to be some of the top people, top wrestlers, top acts at these shows. People are excited. I can't wait to see these 2 women in this match. And sometimes they're more excited about the women's match than some of the men's matches. Even with legends, like they had at the thing in, I forgot the name of the pay-per-view, but whatever the one Shawn Michaels came back. People were not as excited about that. Crown Jewel. People were not as excited about, Shawn Michaels returning and Triple H and Undertaker and Kane more than the women's pay-per-view. That shows you how much the women have improved, how much people have gotten to where they have invested in these women, and they're behind them as fans, and they want to see more. They want to see, another all-women's pay-per-view. They want to see, how excited are y'all to see this TLC match with Charlotte, Becky, and Asuka. Look at how big Becky has gotten. Listen to the cheers. She's getting more cheers than the men. Mm-hmm. She's like one of the biggest things in wrestling right now is Becky. I mean, it shows how much they've, been able to garner respect and admiration and fans from everybody. Everybody is cheering, for Becky to come out. People are talking about her. We can't wait to see Becky. We're mad because Becky's not on TV. We're mad because Becky was hurt and she wasn't able to fight this match. So it shows how much women are they're just blowing up. And we want to see more. We want to see them do more with them. I mean, I would love to keep going if they could do an all-women show to where they just have a show, even if it's an hour long, just an hour-long show with just women. And they have their, like NXT, but it'd be just for the women. And you get this.
Sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off, but you just said that, and I'm like, that is actually a really great idea. It'll be more of a chance to showcase some people who don't get a lot of TV time on the main roster. You get a chance to look at more matches from Sonya Deville, or look at more matches from Sarah Logan, her being a singles match of the Riot Squad, or get a chance to see Alicia Fox actually be like used more than just a comedy act. I mean, just there's a lot more women that can be showcased on a regular basis. Dana Brooke, you almost forget that she's even still with the company because, like, oh, it's once in a blue moon you see her. You never saw Tamina really until all of a sudden she's up here coming out with Nia Jax. Like, hour-long show would be able to showcase a lot of these women, and yeah, they can put on like 3 or 4 10-minute matches plus have some cutting promos and stuff in the back. I mean, you can make a great show just with the women because of how successful Evolution is. And quite frankly, the best feud on the main roster right now is everything having to do with Becky.
Yeah. And like you said, there's a lot of women in NXT that you still could use. There's women in NXT UK that you can still use. So not even just with the main roster, there's so many other women that they have that are talented, that can talk, that are incredible in the ring, that are different from any other woman that's on the main roster, right now. So there's so much talent that, they could have, some tag teams. They could have some secondary belts. They could have their own show. Evolution was amazing, and you didn't even have, but NXT women. So imagine bringing them to the matches that they have. It's just, anything that they're doing with them is showing that they can do it. They are proving it every time. I mean, look, SmackDown and Raw both started with women. Both shows started with the women. So, it might have went downhill after their matches, but, if both started with the women, I mean, Becky just coming out got a huge response. And everybody's still cheering, giving a big cheer for Charlotte, and everybody still loves Asuka. So all of them got huge responses. So they have the formula, they have the women. Just have something that more women can have something to do with. Start making the tag team titles. Start making maybe a secondary title or something. Have something that's special for just the women.
If we did that show, if they were to get an hour-long show, then that's exactly what you do. You give them the Women's Television Championship.
Yeah.
Hey, that fits perfect with that. You have the Women's TV Champ on their own show where that title gets defended, and then you also have your Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships.
Yeah. And it's going to do good. They're going to do well. They're going to be, it's going to be big. Like I said, they proved that they could do a pay-per-view and people were into it. They proved it. They could do a whole pay-per-view and people were into it the whole time. Match after match. People were excited. So if you can do a pay-per-view, you can, even if they don't have the women wrestle like every week, maybe every 2 weeks or something, but they could have it like that where, you have a little break so that they won't be like out every week. But they could have their own show.
Have it as an NXT formula.
Yeah. Or what they could do is what NXT did with the Ciampa and Gargano and Nikki Cross. Start actually incorporating the women into some of the men stuff. They was trying to find out who attacked Aleister Black, and all of a sudden Nikki is the one who knows something. So it was a woman incorporated into the male storyline that made sense, and it was just it actually put the women in there. She wasn't wrestling nobody, but she was part of a huge storyline that everybody's trying to find out. Okay, what does she know? What does she know? And they made her just as important as the men because we needed to know what she knew.
I think that is something that they lack right now. Like a lot of the women that they don't do anything, with, and not even necessarily that they don't do anything with, but there's nothing against putting women in storylines with guys, so to speak. And it's not even a situation where we have to perpetuate a man putting his hands on a woman or anything. But it's just, it would give them more of a storyline for people to build a rapport or a character without even having to wrestle, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like just think about like if the Iconics were involved in like the main event picture and costing, a face that everybody loved title shots all the time. Like say if, I don't know, who's a big face on SmackDown outside of AJ Styles?
Rey Mysterio.
God, has it really gotten down that far? We had to go. Do we have to go down to Rey Mysterio and Jeff Hardy? Is that how far we had to go?
That's the only. Isn't that the only faces on SmackDown?
Mm-hmm. Or what if? Or even said, what if Daniel Bryan and
Rusev?
Rusev.
Rusev.
Yeah, Rusev. So what if, the Iconics got involved every time Rusev was in a number one contenders match and cost him his match every time? And not only does that build a feud with Rusev, now that gets Lana involved as well.
Yeah.
And nobody's in the world title picture, but it becomes a major storyline that everybody's paying attention to because, it's like, oh man, we don't really see this often, so to speak.
Yeah. And not them being as a valet or not them being as just some sex symbol for the guy or whatever. Like you said, they could just, they're just bad girls, so they just costed him the title. What the hell are you doing it for?
Because we're iconic. We can do that.
We're iconic. We're better than you. But I'm a man. You can't touch me, but I'm costing you matches. And they're like, what the heck? So.
You know how bad that would piss people off? Like, he want a Rusev kick somebody, and everybody's like, you can't touch us. Oh, that would piss people off.
But like I said, something like that to where, like, especially if you're not going to have the women wrestling, if you're not doing anything with them, instead of them just being a valet or something for somebody, make a story where they're in it, like you said, and the Iconics keep messing with them, or they keep messing with the bar. They keep making the bar lose, and they're just bad girls. They're bad girls, so they'll mess with anybody. They'll mess with girls or guys. They're costing anything to lose. And you just like, they're Rey Mysterio's in a match, and they're coming out there, tripping him up, and he's losing matches. And you're like, what the hell are you doing? And they're coming out there cutting promos on the men, and you're just like, oh shoot, something like that would be something completely different you haven't seen.
We just got a message from Creative here. We're gonna go ahead and go with that right there. We need to go ahead and make this happen right now.
Absolutely.
Like, bring some freshness back to the stories.
Vince,
I'm gonna need this to happen stat.
Vince, Paul, Mr. Levesque. If you ever guys need any more writers, we got 3 capable bodies right here. We just built something that you guys don't do. Yeah. If I see the Iconics being involved in heavyweight title matches in the future, I'm going to send a cease and desist letter. I don't know what money I'm going to get this lawyer, but it's going to happen.
Hey, we can get somebody pro bono, somebody who supports our cause.
Maybe
we'll find somebody.
We can get a Otunga.
Give it a Tunga.
Right. Y'all ain't doing anything else. He'll support our cause.
But like I said, it's something like that, something different, something unique. Like I said, that was what made the whole storyline with the Aleister Black and stuff. They put her in it, and I mean, just the fact her coming out there and smacking or knocking the microphone out of Tommaso Ciampa's hand, and he picked it up and she knocked it out of his head again. She can't do nothing to her, and you just like, ooh, what are you gonna do? And he can't do nothing. So, it's like she don't even care. It made something unique. And she's like, I know what you did. I know what you did, and you just like, it put a woman in the storyline that wasn't just, she wasn't trying to come on to somebody, or she wasn't trying to run for somebody to help her, because something happened, or, somebody tried to come on to her. The normal women storylines, it was, she knew something, and she was going to tell, and the guys were like, don't say nothing, don't say nothing. So it was a completely unique storyline, and that's something they need to do more of. Not have Dana Brooke come out there as the whatever she was, the I don't know, valet for.
She was the statistician for Apollo Worldwide.
Yeah,
excuse me, Titus Worldwide.
Yeah, she's just a valet to look pretty. It was something more than that.
And they didn't have a black woman on the main roster to put on there. So they just, well, Dana, you're not doing anything. Go join Titus Worldwide.
Yeah. She was the supposed to try to be like Sister Sherry at Harlem Heat.
They're like, we can't put Sasha. She's part of the main story. Ember Moon, no. Yeah, Dana.
Alicia.
That's worse than Ember Moon. What you mean? That would not have.
Alicia was already in the storyline with Noah and Dar. So,
God, what happened to that? Is that storyline? What happened to that? Did they break up officially, or they just stopped?
He got hurt. She went back to Raw. He waited to come back now, and now he's in NXT UK, and I think he's still 205. But it just ended. They ain't have nothing else. I mean. So,
yeah. Well, I think that we had a lot of good topics tonight. We're gonna go ahead and jump right into our final thought. For me personally, I'm going to go first, so to speak. If anybody did not hear, there was news of Larry the Axe Hennig passing away today. Larry the Axe Hennig, if those who don't know, was the father of Mr. Perfect, grandfather of Michael McGillicuddy, a.k.a. Joe Hennig, a.k.a. Curtis Axel. And, even though I wasn't really...
A.k.a. Sorry, I had to do that.
Even though I wasn't old enough to really know Larry the Axe Hennig, the legacy that he left and the talent that he produced will never be forgotten. And definitely rest in peace to Larry the Axe Hennig. Either one of you guys want to go up next, go ahead. That's my final thought.
Well, since you went there, I guess I have to go on and say rest in peace to Dynamite Kid. Like you said, I didn't see him as much, but I've seen some of the stuff, and if anybody knows the wrestling of Chris Benoit and some of the other smaller wrestlers that did the high fly, and Daniel Bryan, you can see where his a lot of people got a lot from him, and without him there wouldn't be some of the smaller wrestlers that did the high flying and some of the suplexes and stuff. So anytime any legend dies, want to say thank them and rest in peace, because without them, we wouldn't have had some of the people here today, and wrestling wouldn't have been the same. So I'm gonna just say rest in peace to Dynamite Kid.
Well, I guess that leaves it to me to wrap it up. This week, my final thought, everybody ended everything on such a somber note. I'm going to end it on a rumor. Or should I say, not really a rumor, but over some things that I've seen as of late over the internet. Nia Jax has been criticized by a ton of people because of her careless in-ring work, especially due to what she did with Becky and others in the past. And now potentially what happened between her and Ember. So Ember's husband had made a tweet about it. Hang on a second. Give me one quick second. I'm trying to find it again on here. He made a tweet about, hope this unsafe moron doesn't hurt my wife again. It's recently been deleted, but I don't know if she needs to go back down to do some extra training or if it's just all kayfabe, storyline, whatever. But yeah, it's just something that's starting to get a little out of control. I don't know how much it was supposed to be, like I said, story or whatever, but I know she did end up taking Becky out of the most anticipated matches as of late, and that just put down that extra heat there, and now she's calling herself the face breaker. So I don't know if that's just a sign, in my opinion, of you need to go back down and do a little bit more work at the PC, or if that's just damn good storytelling because you're just taking an accident and just running with it, just like they've been doing with my baby Roman Reigns. But you got to make the best of a bad situation, so why not take it as it is? Because truth is stranger than fiction, and that's my final thought.
No doubt. Well, that show is a wrap. Great show. Once again, we're going to do this again next week. For those who are listening to us out there, if you're on YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe, hit share. If you don't have YouTube and you're listening to us on any of the other apps, definitely check us out on Playback FM. Check us out on the Google Play Store. Check us out on iTunes. Follow me on Instagram, Mr. President 86. Follow me on Twitter, Mr. President 86. Other than that, follow Lady Great One at, is it Lady Great One? Follow Lady Great One at Lady Great One.
LDYGR81, hold your A.
Al. If you're on Instagram, follow Mr. VIP. Give him your handle, because I don't know it off the top of my head because I wasn't ready.
Shoot, I don't know it off the top of my head either.
God, oh my goodness.
That would be me. Big Hawk 31.
Follow
Big
me.
Hawk 31, there you go.
Look, follow me and Lady Great One. We'll get Mr. VIP's handle together sometime in the future. That's how next go. We're going to get you a Twitter or get you something for everybody to follow. You can't be Mr. VIP and not everybody can get to you. Then again, I guess that's what makes you VIP. Uh-huh.
That is exclusive.
Ha ha! I see what you did there. Ha ha!
Other than that, once again, it's been a great show. This is Marking Out Amongst Friends, the podcast, and we are out.